making making sense of making money online. Welcome. My name is Tony Hill. I'm a personal and small business credit coach, online marketer, and YouTuber, among other things. Listen, I always try to bring you guys some news you can use. I'm sharing my screen with you. This is kind of hot off the press. Actually, it's a Wall Street Journal story that the New York Post posted. But the Wall Street Journal reported this yesterday on Tuesday, March 31st. And basically, it's a story about two senators, Sherrod Brown of Ohio and Brian Schatz of Hawaii. They introduced a proposed moratorium on March 18th regarding stopping negative information being reported to the credit bureaus for 4 months. But of course, it was shelved because of the special interest lobby people. And basically, on the 21st, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the associations repping banks, financial services, and companies and credit unions delivered us a letter to the Senate and House leadership assuring them that they didn't need to step in. As you consider the options to protect consumers from harm, please be aware that the blanket suppression of all adverse information in credit reports could disrupt consumer access to credit in the future. That's what they had in the letter, which basically, in layman's term, mean that if you step in, we could make it harder for people to borrow. Well, I don't necessarily believe that, but you can read it for yourself. I'll leave the description of this article below. But basically, the moratorium would have stopped negative reporting, late payments, mortgage, credit cards, anything on your credit for 4 months. And basically, what the creditors proposed, the creditors said they would use a natural disaster code during the pandemic for missing or late payments, and tell the lenders that the borrower wasn't to blame, so the credit scores wouldn't be negatively affected. I think that's ridiculous, because once that adverse is on your credit, you know that your scores are going to plunge, right? And what they're saying is like, well, we'll step in, and because of this code, they'll know it wasn't their fault. But basically, when you go to apply for credit, really the number one thing that they're looking for is your credit score. They're looking at your credit score. And when they see those negative things on there, I don't think that a disaster code is going to help. My opinion, you can read the article, judge for yourself. But I love what Brian Schatz said. He said, I'll keep fighting at Brian Schatz to make sure families don't take an unfair hit to their credit during this crisis. So basically, once again, it was rejected before the $2 trillion package came out, because they were trying to get that in the bill, but that didn't happen. So look, at the end of the day, you folks have to take full charge of your credit. I made 5 other videos talking about deferments, tips and tricks you can use to protect your credit during this time. So I would make sure that you check those out. Make sure you ask for deferment. Actually, I got a call from Lexus yesterday after I deferred my loan about a late payment. And I said, well, I already had this set up, and I was very proactive, as you guys know me. And if you don't, I am very proactive. But basically, I started this on, I want to say, March 16th, 17th, when I called them. And then I told the guy, I said, put a supervisor on the phone. A lady came on. I said, do you understand that I already got this set up? She's like, oh, yeah, sir, I see this. We'll take care of it. And I said, well, I want to make sure that my credit is protected for the next 2 months, because I deferred my payments for 2 months. So if some of you guys have done that, watch those videos, or know that you've deferred your credit card, mortgages, car loans, whatever the case may be, make sure that you monitoring your credit, especially in the next, 3 to 6 months plus, depending on when this thing kind of, settles down. But make sure you protect your credit. from then. And look, if you got a deferment for 2 months, I would go back to them and say, hey, I'm not back to work yet. And can you defer it longer? Like this moratorium we're proposing to put it out. If they don't, man, I think we all may have an issue by, with late payments. But I would certainly go back to them and say, hey, this thing is still going on. I am not back to work, and ask them for another deferment. Don't be afraid to do that. But look, I always try to bring you guys some news you can use. This is breaking news. I always try to be Johnny on the spot, first to report to you guys. But look, stay safe, stay away, stay at least 6 feet away from other people. They call it social distancing. I call it physical distancing. Stay away from people. Be safe. Protect you and your family. Until next time, guys, hopefully I'll bring you some more news you can use. Stay safe. Peace, y'all.